Pursuing higher education, which could make readers more interested in reading and sharing the article about education quotes. 41. Everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. Bill Nye. Pursuing higher education, which could make readers more interested in reading and sharing the article about education quotes. 41. Everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. Bill Nye. 42. You were always a student, never a master. You have to keep moving forward. Conrad Hall. 43. The whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. Sidney J. Harris. 44. Children have to be educated, but they have also to be left to educate themselves. Ernest Dimnet. 45. Every artist was at first an amateur. Ralph W. Emerson. 46. Education consists mainly of what we have unlearned. Mark Twain. 47. All men by nature desire to know. Aristotle. 48. Education must not simply teach work, it must teach life. W. E. B. Du Bois. 49. I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well. Alexander the Great. 50. Wisdom comes not from age, but from education and learning. Anton Chekhov. If you are enjoying this article, you might also love our collection of the best senior year quotes for graduation and the yearbook. Education quotes to bring out the best in you. 51. Education is a continual process. It's like a bicycle. If you don't pedal, you don't go forward. George Weah. 52. Education is the best friend. An educated person is respected everywhere. Education beats the beauty and the youth. Chanakya. 53. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire. William Butler Yeats. 54. A good education is a foundation for a better future. Elizabeth Warren. If you are enjoying these quotes, make sure to check out our collection of Elizabeth Warren quotes on capitalism, politics, and more. 55. Education is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to open children's hearts and minds to the unbelievable wonder of the universe. Sir Anthony Seldon. 56. Formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. Jim Rohn. 57. The more I live, the more I learn. The more I learn, the more I realize, the less I know. Michel Legrand. 58. By seeking and blundering we learn. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. 59. School is the path, not the point. Will Richardson. 60. Time is the best teacher, but unfortunately, it kills all of its students. Robin Williams. If you enjoy this article, check out our collection of Horace Mann quotes from the father of American education. You will also enjoy our article on quotes about having fun. Inspirational education quotes. 61. When you take the free will out of education, that turns it into schooling. John Taylor Gatto. 62. Only the educated are free. Epictetus. If you are enjoying these quotes, you'll love our collection of Epictetus quotes that will make you think. 63. The real key to learning something quickly is to take a deliberate, intelligent approach to your learning. Lindsay Kolowich. 64. Do not confine your children to your own learning, for they were born in another time. Hebrew proverb. 65. I think you learn more if you are laughing at the same time. Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. 66. I don't want revenge on the Taliban. I want education for sons and daughters of the Taliban. Malala Yousafzai. 67. Study without desire spoils the memory, and it retains nothing that it takes in. Leonardo da Vinci. 68. It is personal. That's what an education does. It makes the world personal. Cormac McCarthy. Related Stephen Furtick quotes that will illuminate your divine purpose. 69. The main hope of a nation lies in the proper education of its youth. Desiderius Erasmus Roterodamus. 70. With guns you can kill terrorists. With education you can kill terrorism. Malala Yousafzai. Don't forget to also read these Maria Montessori quotes from the woman that changed education. Education quotes to inspire you to keep learning. 71. All the world is a laboratory to the inquiring mind. Merton Fisher. 72. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. Aristotle. 73. It is what we know already that often prevents us from learning. Claude Bernard. 74. Learning is a treasure that will follow its owner everywhere. Chinese proverb. 75. Every student can learn, just not on the same day, or the same way. George Evans. 76. The only person who is educated is the one who has learned how to learn and change. Carl Rogers. 77. Never let formal education get in the way of your learning. Mark Twain. 78. You cannot open a book without learning something. Confucius. If you are enjoying these quotes, make sure to read our collection of book quotes about the power of reading from your favorite authors. 79. We learn from failure, not from success. Bram Stoker. 80. The minute that you're not learning, I believe you're dead. Jack Nicholson. Don't forget to also check out these graduation quotes from famous films about success. Quotes about education to inspire and motivate. 81. A teacher is one who makes himself progressively unnecessary. Thomas Carruthers. 82. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. Socrates. 83. Man's mind, once stretched by a new idea, never regains its original dimensions. Oliver Wendell Holmes. 84. Schools should be places to learn, not to teach. Don Tapscott. 85. Let the improvement of yourself keep you so busy that you have no time to criticize others. Roy T. Bennett. 86. The more I read, the more I acquire, the more certain I am that I know nothing. Voltaire. 87. You live and learn. At any rate, you live. Douglas Adams. 88. The noblest pleasure is the joy of understanding. Leonardo da Vinci. 89. Self-education is, I firmly believe, the only kind of education there is. Isaac Asimov. 90. Wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of the lifelong attempt to acquire it. Albert Einstein. Don't forget to also read these wonderful preschool quotes for kids and kids at heart. Education quotes to elevate your perspective. 91. Education is the art of making man ethical. Georg Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. 92. Education is the key to unlock the golden door of freedom. George Washington Carver. 93. Education is the power to think clearly, the power to act well in the world's work, and the power to appreciate life. Brigham Young. 94. Education's purpose is to replace an empty mind with an open one. Malcolm S. Forbes. 95. Education is helping the child realize his potentialities. Erich Fromm. 96. The progress of the world depends almost entirely upon education. George Eastman. 97. Education is the transmission of civilization. Will Durant. 98. The most important thing that schools can do is not to use technology in the curriculum more, but to use it more effectively. John G. Palfrey and Urs Gasser. If you're enjoying these quotes, you'll love our collection of short motivational quotes that will get you ready to tackle the day. 99. Education is the mother of leadership. Wendell Willkie. 100. Education is not just about going to school and getting a degree. It's about widening your knowledge and absorbing the truth about life. Shakuntala Devi. Inspirational quotes about education. 101. Education is teaching our children to desire the right things. Plato. 102. The great aim of education is not knowledge but action. Herbert Spencer. 103. Whenever you read a good book, somewhere in the world a door opens to allow in more light. Vera Nazarian. 104. Education should light a fire within us to improve us and help our world. Sarah Joseph. 105. Education is simply the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to another. Gilbert K. Chesterton. 106. The direction in which education starts a man will determine his future life. Plato. 107. Education is a progressive discovery of our own ignorance. Will Durant. 108. Anyone who stops learning is old, whether at 20 or 80. Anyone who keeps learning stays young. The greatest thing in life is to keep your mind young. Henry Ford. 109. Education is the methodical creation of the habit of thinking. Ernest Dimnet. 110. The beautiful thing about learning is that nobody can take it away from you. B.B. King. Education quotes to elevate your mind. 111. You learn something every day if you pay attention. Ray LeBlond. 112. One learns by doing a thing. For though you think you know it, you have no certainty until you try. Sophocles. 113. All things good to know are difficult to learn. Greek proverb. 114. All of us must cross the line between ignorance and insight many times before we truly understand. David Hawkins. 115. Education breeds confidence. Confidence breeds hope. Hope breeds peace. Confucius. 116. By education, I mean an all-round drawing of the best in child and man in body, mind and spirit. Mahatma Gandhi. 117. Education is learning what you didn't know. George Bose. 118. Education makes a greater difference between man and man than nature has made between man and brute. John Adams. 119. Intelligence and education that hasn't been tempered by human affection isn't worth a damn. Daniel Keyes. 120. The aim of education is the knowledge, not of facts, but of values. William Burroughs. Education quotes to inspire and motivate you. 121. The content of a book holds the power of education, and it is with this power that we can shape our future and change lives. Malala Yousafzai. 122. The essence of knowledge is having it, to apply it, not having it, to confess your ignorance. Confucius. 123. Education is everything. Education is your power. Education is your way in life for whatever you want to do. Sarah. 124. The foundation of every state is the education of its youth. Diogenes of Sinope. If you are enjoying these quotes, make sure to read our collection of Diogenes of Sinope quotes from the iconic philosopher. 125. Education is one thing no one can take away from you. Ellen Nordegren. 126. Everybody's a teacher if you listen. Doris Roberts. 127. When girls are educated, their countries become stronger and more prosperous. Michelle Obama. 128. The first problem for all of us, men and women, is not to learn, but to unlearn. Gloria Steinem. 129. The goal of education is to enable individuals to continue their education. John Dewey. 130. Only one who has learned much can fully appreciate his ignorance. Louis L. Amour. Education quotes to inspire success. 131. Learning is not attained by chance. It must be sought for with ardor and diligence. Abigail Adams. 132. The best teachers are those who show you where to look but don't tell you what to see. Alexandra K. Trenfer. 133. If you think education is expensive, try ignorance. Andy McIntyre. 134. It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows. Epictetus. 135. The difference between school and life? In school, you're taught a lesson and then given a test. In life, you're given a test that teaches you a lesson. Tom Bodett. If you're enjoying these quotes, you'll love our collection of school quotes about learning and growth. 136. If a child can't learn the way we teach, maybe we should teach the way they learn. Ignacio Estrada. 137. Education is learning what you didn't even know you didn't know. Daniel J. Burston. 138. What does education often do? It makes a straight cutlet of a free, meandering brook. Henry David Thoreau. 139. What we learn with pleasure we never forget. Alfred Mercier. 140. There is no school equal to a decent home and no teacher equal to a virtuous parent. Mahatma Gandhi. Education quotes to enlighten you. 141. I never teach my pupils. I only attempt to provide the conditions in which they can learn. Albert Einstein. 142. The whole world opened to me when I learned to read. Mary McLeod Bethune. 143. The mind is not a vessel to be filled but a fire to be kindled. Plutarch. 134. Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you, too, can become great. Mark Twain. 135. Education is too important to be left solely to educators. Francis Keppel. 136. It is a miracle that curiosity survives formal education. Albert Einstein. 137. It is not enough to have a good mind. The main thing is to use it well. René Descartes. 148. Nothing is more powerful and liberating than knowledge. William H. Gray III. 149. Experience is not what happens to you. It's what you do with what happens to you. Aldous Huxley. 150. You teach best what you most need to learn. Richard Bach. If you're enjoying this article, be sure to also check out our collection of Animal Farm quotes to teach you the power of too much power. Quotes about education to inspire you. 151. The purpose of education is to replace an empty mind with an open one. Malcolm Forbes. 152. If we want our children to value education, then we must show our appreciation for knowledge. Brad Sherman. 153. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Confucius. 154. The job of an educator is to teach students to see vitality in themselves. Joseph Campbell. 155. Children must be taught how to think, not what to think. Margaret Mead. 156. The task of the modern educator is not to cut down jungles, but to irrigate deserts. C.S. Lewis. 157. I like a teacher who gives you something to take home to think about besides homework. Lily Tomlin. 158. Merely to stuff the child with a lot of information, making him pass examinations, is the most unintelligent form of education. Jiddu Krishnamurti. 159. I believe that education is all about being excited about something. Seeing passion and enthusiasm helps push an educational message. Steve Irwin. 160. I am learning all the time. The tombstone will be my diploma. Eartha Kitt. Education quotes for teachers and students. 161. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Abraham Lincoln. 162. I am still learning. Michelangelo. 163. Learning never exhausts the mind. Leonardo da Vinci. 164. A well-educated mind will always have more questions than answers. Helen Keller. Don't forget to also check out these history quotes that will open your eyes to stories of the past. 165. The beautiful thing about learning is that no one can take it away from you. B. King. 166. Try to learn something about everything and everything about. Thomas Huxley. 167. Learning without thought is a labor lost. Thought without learning is paralysis. Confucius. 168. I am always doing that which I cannot do, in order that I may learn how to do it. Pablo Picasso. 169. Being a student is easy. Learning requires actual work. William Crawford. 170. I am always ready to learn although I do not always like being taught. Winston Churchill. Related motivating entrepreneur quotes to live by. Education quotes to inspire everyday learning. 171. Education costs money, but then so does ignorance. Claus Moser. 172. Life is an open book test. Learning how to learn is your most valuable skill in the online world. Mark Cuban. 173. When you study great teachers, you will learn much more from their caring and hard work than from their style. William Glasser. 174. Take what you learn and make a difference with it. Tony Robbins. 175. Whoso neglects learning in his youth, loses the past and is dead for the future. Euripides. 176. Always walk through life as if you have something new to learn, and you will. Vernon Howard. 177. All of the top achievers I know are lifelong learners, looking for new skills, insights, and ideas. If they are not learning, they are not growing and not moving toward excellence. Dennis Waitley. 178. Intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. Stephen Hawking. If you're enjoying these quotes, you'll love our collection of Stephen Hawking quotes on life, religion, and the universe. 179. Don't just teach your children to read. Teach them to question what they read. Teach them to question everything. Georgia Carlin. 180. You don't understand anything until you learn it more than one way. Marvin Minsky. 181. Despise school and remain a fool. German proverb. 182. The learned man knows that he is ignorant. Victor Hugo. 183. I've learned that the best classroom in the world is at the feet of an elderly person. Andy Rooney. 184. We don't stop going to school when we graduate. Carol Burnett. 185. You can't learn in school what the world is going to do next year. Henry Ford. You might also like these inspirational quotes for kids to inspire and teach them. Education quotes that will make you think. 186. We now accept the fact that learning is a lifelong process of keeping abreast of change. And the most pressing task is to teach people how to learn. Peter Drucker. 187. I am not a teacher, but an awakened. Robert Frost. 188. In the end, we retain from our studies only that which we practically apply. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. 189. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. Seneca. 190. Study hard what interests you the most in the most undisciplined, irreverent and original manner possible. Richard Feynman. 191. Men learn while they teach. Lucius A. Seneca. 192. That is what learning is. You suddenly understand something you've understood all your life, but in a new way. Doris Lessing. 193. It's what we think we know that keeps us from learning. Claude Bernard. 194. The beautiful thing about learning is nobody can take it away from you. B.B. King. 195. When asked how much educated men were superior to those uneducated, Aristotle answered, as much as the living are to the dead. Diogenes Laertius. Education quotes that will open your mind. 196. Education without application is just entertainment. Tim Sanders. 197. No problem can withstand the assault of sustained thinking. Voltaire. 198. A man who carries a cat by the tail learns something he can learn in no other way. Mark Twain. 199. You aren't learning anything when you're talking. Lyndon B. Johnson. 200. The object of opening the mind, as of opening the mouth, is to close it again on something solid. G.K. Chesterton. 201. A little learning is a dangerous thing. Alexander Pope. 202. My education was neglected, yet I was passionately fond of reading. Mary Shelley. 203. Anyone who has begun to think places some portion of the world in jeopardy. John Dewey. 204. Education is not the filling of a pot but the lighting of a fire. W. B. Yeats. 205. Wisdom is learning what to overlook. William James. Education quotes about challenging yourself. 206. You'll never know everything about anything, especially something you love. Julia Child. 207. It is what we know already that often prevents us from learning. Claude Bernard. 208. Commit yourself to lifelong learning. The most valuable asset you'll ever have is your mind and what you put into it. Albert Einstein. 209. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. John Wooden. 210. You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing, and by falling over. Richard Branson. 211. If you only read the books that everyone else is reading, you can only think what everyone else is thinking. Haruki Murakami. 212. All of life is a constant education. Eleanor Roosevelt. 213. The purpose of learning is growth, and our minds, unlike our bodies, can continue growing as we continue to live. Mortimer Adler. 214. Continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in any field. Brian Tracy. 215. Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning. William Arthur Ward. Education quotes that will inspire you to never stop learning. 216. Education is all a matter of building bridges. Ralph Ellison. 217. It is impossible to begin to learn that which one thinks one already knows. Epictetus. 218. A child educated only at school is an uneducated child. George Santayana.